Okay, so I know I'm supposed to have like a speech or something, but I don't have anything. I just want to thank everybody for coming out. Y'all know I've been doing hair since 2007, licensed in 2007, so it's been a very long but wild dream of mine to own a salon, and thank you to my newbie for doing it for me and making it happen. And thank you guys for coming again. And welcome to Flawless by TK. Yeah. There you go. Congratulations. Come on in.
Hi everyone, welcome to Shell Sugar Rush and welcome back if you've been here before. Today I'm going to be sharing with you this adorable black and gold cake that I made for my stepdaughter's grand opening of her new salon. It has always been a dream of hers to open a salon, and she has finally made her dream a reality, all while pregnant with her third child and our sixth grandbaby. Be sure and stick around to the end for a tour of her beautiful salon. So for the cake, she did request a vanilla cake. So I have 4 8-inch layers of vanilla cake here, and of course you know me, I like a nice proportion of buttercream to cake, so having the 4 layers is just perfect for me. I have made some American buttercream here, and I am filling in those layers, and of course I'll finish with that top layer bottom side up to give it a nice flat surface. And I'm just going to give it a pretty generous crumb coat here. I will be covering it with fondant, so when I'm going to do fondant, I like to do a pretty thick crumb coat, just so I don't have to come back and do that final coat before putting the fondant on. So I'm just finishing the crumb coat here, and I'm going to scrape that down, get it nice and smooth, and then I'm going to pop that into the freezer for about 15 or 20 minutes, just to let that buttercream firm up real nicely so that we can get ready to roll out some fondant and put that on the cake. So now I'm going to roll out some black fondant, and for this cake I've decided it's a little on the taller side, so I'm going to panel it. So what I'm doing here is just rolling out a piece for the top of the cake, and I'm using an acrylic disc, and I put a piece of parchment paper on it as well just to separate the disc from the fondant, and I'll flip that onto the top of the cake. I like using the disc just because it's a hard surface, so it'll help keep that fondant nice and flat. And I'm just going around the edges with a paring knife and taking off that excess fondant that is hanging over. And you can see here, this is a pretty easy process. And then I'm gonna set that to the side, and now I'm going to roll out some fondant for the sides. And for this, you always want to make sure you have plenty of fondant, plenty enough to go around the circumference of the cake. And of course this is an 8-inch cake, so I'll be rolling it out to about 24-25 inches long. And then I'm going to take and of course you have to make sure you have it as wide as you need it for the height of the cake. And in my case, the cake is 5 inches high. So I've got a ruler here, and I'm just going to cut a straight edge, and just making sure I've got that 5 inches I need. And I'm going to roll it on my rolling pin, and then stand it up, and just gently roll it around the cake, and just adhering it nicely with my hands. And now I'm going to go back around with my fondant tool, and to make sure that everything is nice and smooth all the way around. And just cutting a straight edge, where those pieces meet, which will be the back of my cake, of course. And then I will take that same paring knife and go around the bottom and just take off any excess that may have hung over, in that process, and go around the top like you see here. And then, of course, take off the excess around the edges so that I get them nice and even with the top layer of fondant that is already in place. So once this is done, I'm just going to take my fondant tools once again and just kind of make sure everything is nice and together on the edges and everything is nice and smooth and there's no bubbles under my fondant or no air bubbles. And then we'll get ready to do some decor. So for the decor, I'm starting here with some gold fondant, and I have just rolled a little bit of that out, and I have a diamond cutter and a crown cutter. So what I'm going to be doing is cutting out a few diamonds and a few crowns as well. These are just a part of her logo, so that's why I chose to use these shapes. And here you can see I'm doing the crowns. So I'm going to do a few of each of these, and then I am actually going to go back and take out some gold luster dust and a brush, and I am going to brush these with some of that gold luster dust. I will definitely link that in the description. In here I did take out my veining tool and make those lines in the diamond just to give it that more realistic look for those diamonds. And I did take a small ball tool as well and just put that indentation in the top of the pieces on the crown there, as you can see, just to give them some, some depth. And here's the luster dust I was speaking of earlier, and I just took a brush, like I said, and just brushed that on just to give them a nice shine. The gold fondant is pretty, but this really brings it out. Now in this next part, I decided to do something I have never done before, and I found this recipe for gold drip on a YouTube video by Shalise Leishman. So what it is here is you put a teaspoon of lemon extract, 3/4 of a teaspoon of gold luster dust, and 1 tablespoon of powdered sugar, and you mix that together like I did there. Now I did have to continue to add more of the lemon extract, of course, to get it to the consistency I needed, and that just may have been due to the type of luster dust I was using. But actually I did like the way it came out. You can see here I did a drip, and I did my drips kind of far away because I wanted to give the idea of the diamonds coming down or hanging down from the drips. So I did space them out pretty far, and I did use the rest of that mixture to paint the top of the cake to give it that gold on top. And of course at this point I realized I still had to move the cake over to the gold cake board, so I didn't do any of the decor after that until I had moved that over. But here I'm just cleaning up the board a little bit from that icing that got on during movement, and I am taking it's called gold rhinestone bling wrap that I ordered, and it's got 3 rows on it, and I am using that around the base of the cake, and that actually looks pretty nice around the base. I really like this. First time I've used that, but I really did like the way it looked. And here I'm just adhering the diamonds and crowns to the cake just to finish that decor. And I did end up feeling like the top was a little bare, so you can see here I did end up adding the bling wrap around the top as well. And here is that beautiful topper that I had made to go on the cake also. If you enjoyed the video, be sure and give it a thumbs up, and don't forget, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell so you'll be notified when I upload more cakes in the future. And now for that tour I promised you earlier of the inside of the salon. You'll be able to see the decor now for the grand opening. And here we have a drink station, and it has one alcoholic and non-alcoholic punch on the table there. And then on the island in the center, there's going to be a cracker and cheese tray. You see there, beautiful cracker and cheese tray. On the other side, a nice deli tray. This is all done by my husband, who's the chef in the family. And here on the dessert table is, of course, some beautiful treats made by her lovely cousin Katira, and of course the cake that you just saw in the video. Thank you for watching.